I see. Hi, Frida. Hey, listen, I was just getting ready to remind myself to email you. I've got your package just about together. I've got a little bit more room. It's small. Um, is there anything you can think of that would be light and say smaller than say 6 by 6 or 6 by 8 inches that I could add to your package? Anything like that you're really kind of wanting? Because I got a little bit of weight left that I can add some weight to. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. And if there's something you can think of, let me know. And then hopefully I can get that in the mail to you next, this upcoming week. Because I'm going to send it to you. So I think I can go up to 2 pounds for the price bracket that I'm in. You know what I mean? And I've got some weight left. It's mostly the size, right? How much weight? Look, I'm trying to give me 1 second. Um, I think it's 2 pounds I can do up to. Let me show you it here. I don't want to show you everything in there because I want you to be surprised. But it's this size and it's fairly light, so I can stuff a couple of more things in there, I think. And this, I don't have my scale right here, but I'm not close to 2 pounds, I don't think. And I thought if I'm going to ship it to you, I might as well take advantage of how much I can put in there, right? So I think it's 2 pounds. I can email you and let you know for sure, like after the stream. Um, but I was just thinking, oh, I should probably ask you if there's anything in particular you're thinking about. And if I can do it, I will, I can stuff it in. I mean, I got so much stuff here. I'm having a hard time finding myself on my phone on YouTube. So what am I doing wrong? Maybe no, I got that right. Because it's easier for me to read the chat. Oh, there it is. It put up I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Ink refills, if you can get them cheap. So like it's like stamp pad ink to refill your stamp pads. If that's what you're meaning, like what colors would you want? Do you need black or yeah? Because I don't know how much they are usually like. Yeah, they're only like a half an ounce, but then you got the bottle and stuff. So, I mean, I could try black. Yeah, let me see if I can get you that. I can do a test, put it in there and see what my weight looks like. If I can do it, I'll do it, okay? Because that should last you quite a while. You get quite a bit in those little bottles. Oh, cool. Okay, so I've got my stream here. I'm just setting up my phone so I can see. I'm trying to get in the groove of doing something Saturday mornings early. Oh, you can get but the browns are difficult. Okay, sweetie. I'll adjust you, but I can. And they might have smaller ones too that I could. And then I'll wrap it real good in plastic, so no leakage. So it doesn't get on anything else. I like the vintage photo. But you have the ink pad, right? You don't need the ink pad part. You just need the refill. Just want to make sure I can, send you what you're wanting. Okay, that'd be great. Okay. Okay. Good. 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 All right. Just picking up and straightening up a few little other things here. So see if we have a few more folks. I see there's 4 of us in here, so we're going. Okay. My sisters, I have 2 sisters. If some of you may not be aware, I have 2 sisters, and we had a little sister get together outing, if you will, last week. My sisters came and stayed overnight, and we had an early appointment at a llama farm, and we went and met some llamas, which was really cool. Had lunch, we just had a great time, but they came early. Well, not early. They came mid-afternoon the day before our llama appointment, and we did some crafting. And we were making pumpkins. My middle sister, Nancy, she's been crocheting pumpkins, and she's been doing some Christmas trees and things like that. And then she saw a pattern to just the refills. I can get used in. Okay, very good. All right, thanks, Frida. And so my sister Nancy brought a pattern. Where did I put my pattern? Oh, yeah, but I don't want you to go to a great expense, Frida. I mean, anything from Norway, oh my gosh, it's just like so amazing to us. But, I don't want no stress, and don't feel obligated to do that. But I wanted to send you the ink block, the stamping block that you won. And I thought, hey, I might as well stuff your package with other stuff, right? It's going to go all that distance. Good morning, Ann. How are you? So my sister Nancy brought a pattern, just a round circle. I'll show you. And we started to make pumpkins. So I thought, well, it's getting close to that time, right? Before you know it, fall will be here. And so I've been messing around with pumpkins. And I see my camera's kind of fuzzing out a little bit. So let me see. I did bring mine. Oh, here it is. So I'm just going to show you. I gave one pumpkin away. I don't really have too many that are finished. I tend to work and do things in stages because I usually make more than one because I have my co-ops and things. So the first thing we did, my sisters and I, we took a trip over to my local Goodwill, and we got ourselves some sweaters. And then we came home and we used the sweaters to do pumpkins. And then Nancy had brought some fabric. So then we were doing fabric pumpkins. Oh, I need to put on my hot glue gun. Turn my hot glue gun on here. So we're ready. So I'm ready. And so I'll show you what I'm making. Oh, now you're making silky scarves? Ooh, that sounds nice. And so this is what I've done. Like I said, I gave one away. This was a purple sweater. And this is some paper. To me, it's not crepe paper like you decorate for parties, but it's I should have looked at the package. We got a bag of this at the thrift shop too, all different colors. And it's just like crinkly paper, and it's wound up. It almost looks like rope. So I just unwound it and cut out some rough leaves. I used another part of a sweater here for the stem. Now, my sister Nancy had cut pieces of like from one of her bushes, pieces of it's like a woody plant that she could use for stems. I don't really have anything like that here, but really anything you can think of to use for a stem. And on this one, I just put some cheesecloth and then added a purple bow. So that guy is pretty much finished. And then I had some country fabric. Now I haven't gone through all my fabric. My plan is to put a button under here. Let's see, I have a button here somewhere that I could show you what I'm thinking about. Where did I? Okay, it's not the right color, of course, but you'll be able to see what I mean. Just because I don't like the way that looks there, I didn't do a good job of getting back into the same spot. But like, what if I put, see, this is, these are attached, you can't really see. If I put a coordinating button, you know, at the bottom would look cute. And of course I have to decorate the top. And then Nancy had, I don't know if this is that minky kind of fabric. This one's bumpy. So I'm still fussing around a little bit with the idea. Now this sweater had some really cool little beads and pearls on it. And this one, you see, I didn't do the section, so he's just a little fluffy pumpkin. I used part of that purple sweater for the stem. And then I put some lace on. And did gray. A lot of people like gray. So this morning, a couple days ago, I started to think, what other fabric could I use to make pumpkins that would be maybe a little different? And so I decided to coffee stain some muslin. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, but I cut a couple out. So here's my, it just looks like a big old yo-yo at this point. And I was thinking maybe some craft scrapbook paper might look cute on these. My husband dug out for me some silk fall leaves that we had in our stash in the garage. But I think for this muslin one, they might be a little too much. I'm looking for something that might be a little more subdued. So all you start out with, really, it's just a great big circle. And of course, you can make it smaller or make it larger. Excuse me, still got my morning grunge in my throat. So my circle is 12.5 inches across, really both ways, 12 inches across. I just had a piece of, wrapping paper that I used. So I just put that on my muslin, cut my circle. And then I double threaded, now this needle is really a sword, but this is what I had sitting by my chair. And just did a gathering stitch. That's just in and out, in and out, in and out. I'll show you because I'm going to do one from scratch. And then, of course, you knot the one end because you don't want it to pull completely free. You need it to be able to stay together. So I'm just kind of moving. Let me move my camera a little bit here. I just always am leaning, always leaning. And I brought out some twine. So now I'm just going to take my fiber fill. Now, I know I read an article of one gal when she was doing her dolls and stuffing. She says to take the fill and just kind of pull it like this so you get a better stuff. Now, the sweaters tend to, if you're using sweater material, they squish a lot easier because the fabric is softer. So this muslin is really stiffer, a lot stiffer, because then I dyed it in the coffee bath. And so that really stiffens it up as well, but I really love the way it makes it look. At least for other projects anyway. Now I don't want it to be super gathered on one side or the other, so I'm trying to just kind of move this around a little bit, see what we end up with. And I think I'm going to need more fill than that, so let me grab a little more fill. Of course, I could always take this out if I get too much in there. And then all you do is you just take your thread. Now I did the double. Make sure you don't bury your needle inside your pumpkin. I doubled the thread because I had, even when I was using a little tighter cording, I kind of pulled too hard and I broke the stitches, broke the thread, and then I had to restitch it. So, you know, you can't be a maniac. You have to be a little gentle. I was a bit of a maniac when I first started to do it. So then all you do is just keep pulling this thread. And you're just cinching that pumpkin, or the fabric, I should say. It's not a pumpkin yet. Until you get it the way you like it, right? And then you have to stitch this, or I guess you could glue it. But I'm just going to put a little stitch in to hold it where I want it to be. This is where you could use another hand. But I'm going to just try to put my needle back in the top of that. So to do these, you don't need a sewing machine. Of course, you could, if you had a sewing machine, you could do this and do the gathering stitch on your machine. You know, I guess you would just increase your stitch size, you know, to make it larger. Now, they're very rustic. And of course, this ends up being a smaller pumpkin. Let's see. So it's about 5 inches once you gather that all together. But I know probably a lot of you, especially those watching on the replay, would do yo-yos. So it's really kind of just a big stuffed yo-yo. And then I'm just going to trim that. Now I think on this one, I want to take my twine and make the sections. So I'm going to take my gigantic needle here so I can get my thread. Good morning to everyone who's come in. I see I've got a few more that have popped in. Good morning, good morning. And so the thing is not knowing how much, I guess you could do if you wanted to make, say, 6 or 8 sections, I guess you could kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me cut that. Trying to keep those scissors just for fabric and thread, not cord. Hey, Jean, good morning. So I'm going to thread this. Now, somewhere in my ribbon drawer, of course, I have things all stacked in front of my ribbon drawer. I have maybe I should say Jeannie. Is it? I guess it's Jeannie. Terrible sometimes with names. I apologize if I said that wrong. So I'm going to put a knot in the end. Now this may not go well. Me too. Ooh, rustic and primitive. Me too. Me too. Jeannie. Okay, great. Thanks, Jeannie. All right, let's see. And I'm going to pop this down through the center and come out the bottom. Right through that fiber film. And this time I'm going to try to be a little more conscious of where that thread ends up at the bottom. Okay, so that's my start. And then I'm going to just bring it around the top, the outside edge around the top, and back down through the center. And I'm going to try to hit that same spot. Now, I did this with some of the others, and I used embroidery thread on some of them. My sister used, I think at the fabric store, they told her to get some. See, now this is a little difficult because it's pulling the fiber out. So I've got a little knot there. Let me see if I can get that out. She got some heavier duty thread, more like a cording. Wasn't super heavy. Let me get rid of this knot. I've got a knot here in my twine, which I didn't realize. It'll just make it a little easier pulling through. If I can undo it. Get that needle in there and kind of wiggle that knot loose. I'm trying to think how I can be a little more innovative with the stem for these. We have a Rosa Sharon bush, but my husband doesn't think that would work so well. And of course it's not, it would be green. It's not dry wood. And I was thinking like dowels would be too straight and too stiff. But some of you may have some really cool bushes in your yard that you could take from, or if you have any twigs that are down. I lost the knot. I didn't get it out, but I think I'm making a little progress here. Might have to get my tweezers out. So my sisters and I are hoping to have lunch with our mom on Thursday, and I promised my mom I would pick her up some books to read. She's having some memory issues, so to remember to take back a library book is a struggle. And there's a place near me here that they do clean out, like clean out houses, and they do estates, different estates, I guess, after all the family has taken what they want, whatnot. They come and they clean out the residence. And they sell things very inexpensively. Now, my mom, of course, has a couple tablets, but I think she's missing holding a book and reading. So the problem is the place that has these books very reasonably priced, I mean, they're cheaper than Goodwill. I mean, they're very inexpensive. Is that they're only open on Saturdays. And with being retired, I forget when it's Saturday. So I'm hoping to go over there. And of course, I'll scoot around to see if they have anything else interesting. But I want to go over and get my mom some books. So I've got to remember to do that today. It's still overcast here. We had a little bit of rain, but just a little dreary here today. Now, getting my needle rethreaded is my next challenge. So if you want to do these little, give your pumpkin these little sections, what you do is just wrap your thread or cording or whatever you're using around. You could use ribbon, I'm sure. And you want to pull it, but not too terribly tight. Well, it depends on what kind of look you're going for, right? So now I'm going to come across the other way around my pumpkin, go back down through the center, and I'm going to try to hit that same general area. Pull it through. And then I'm going to go just do my quarters, and I'm just repeating the process. Now this is so gathered because I could have put probably a lot more fiber fill in. I think I'll do that with my next one. And then I'm going around just like, you know, it almost looks like a cheese wheel. You know how they wrap it? You could use butcher's twine. So now I'm going to go in between those sections, and I'm just repeating and doing the same thing. Now this one may not look too bad here. Let's see, where do I want to go? This way. Now I'm wondering if I have in my, instead of doing it separately, I'm wondering if I have in my button stash a button that I could stitch on the bottom rather than. And pumpkins are not perfect unless you buy them, you know, at Michael's. But when you go to a pumpkin patch, they're all different shapes, right? And I guess I'll do, I think that looks okay. Now let me see if I can dig out. Of course, my buttons are down the bottom here. This one might work. And for me, it's just mostly the look. I don't know if my needle's going to fit through. Oh, yeah, it does. Coolio, coolio. So now I'm just going to stitch it on like I was stitching a button on my jeans. Whoop. Good morning to everybody who's coming in. That's looking kind of cute for the bottom. Looks better than the top, in my humble opinion. Did I pull that? Yeah, I pulled it enough. So now I'm going to try to find that other. Now some of my other ones, I didn't think about this, so I'm just going to glue a button on. Now the tricky part is going to be ending my thread here. So I think I'm just going to catch a piece of fabric and just knot it like you would, you know, if you were doing a slow stitch or an embroidery kind of thing. So that's what I have for my bottom. Now you can see it's just a little flat, squashy, gourdy looking kind of pumpkin. Now I have to think about a center and a stem. So let me take... Now, one of the videos that I watched, the gal used a piece of felt, like a, you can get those 9x9 or 12x12 squares of felt in the fabric store, the craft store. Now I'm going to add some cheesecloth. And then I have to think about a leaf. So I think I want to put that on it. And I had said earlier, my husband had pulled out some leaves, but see, these are just a little too bright for me. So what I want to do is pull out some, let me see what I have here. I have a bunch of scraps here of scrapbook paper. Maybe something with a little contrast might work. And I'm going to use this leaf as just as a template, really, as a little pattern. And I'm going to see if I can get away with not tracing it. Of course, if I pin that, it's going to, well, let's see. If I pin it, it's going to leave a hole. And I'm just going to rough it, because this is not meant to be authentic or perfectly correct. It's just a little fall decoration. Yeah, see, I'm not going to like those holes in there. Okay, so that's not a great idea. Let's cut another one. So I'm just going to hold it. I'm always sliding out of my chair. So let's see here. Now, if you have a leaf that you like, maybe in your die cut, your metal dies, and you could run some of these through your machine and have them ready to go. If you're sitting some night in front of the TV, or sometimes you just feel like doing something mindless, if you will. Same with fussy cutting in front of the TV, things like that. And then it's nice to have those when you're ready for a project. You can just pull them out. Of course, the caveat to that is remembering where you put them. So I think I'm going to use those, and then perhaps a piece from the muslin that I did have some scraps here. I think I left those in the other room. So let me just take a little piece. Let me do one out of the muslin. Now, once I get this going and I have a plan, I can go ahead and make several, and it won't take me as long. And most of you don't have to be in a hurry. Now, this I could pin because it's fabric. But sometimes, you may think, oh, I wish I could find a pumpkin to go in my powder room, and it's a different kind of a color. And you're not really looking, maybe for a fall color pumpkin. Maybe you want something in turquoise. That's a good way. You can use little scraps of fabric. Or if you've got an old sweater, or, you know, someone in your family has a sweater. Or wouldn't it be cool, like your kids, as they grow out of things, and they had a sweater or a sweatshirt that you're real, oh, I should do that. I should. Yeah, I keep asking my daughter for my grandkids' clothes as they grow out. Save me a t-shirt or save me a sweatshirt so I can do something with it. Hey, we could make a pumpkin, right? You could even give it to the kid and say, hey, Granny made this so you can put it in your room. And it's you know, a sweater that you used to wear. Now this may not work. I may not like this after I did this. See, this is all wrinkly. But I want to ink. I know I want to ink. Because I like it to look a little grunged. And you could add beads, ribbon. Yes, Jeannie, that, I guess you do. Yeah, it just popped into my head. I'm thinking, oh, that might be a cool idea. This is going to make a, well, let me just see if I can get a little more color on this leaf. I'm going to try to maybe make a little leaf cluster here, if you will. You're probably not going to see a whole lot of this inking on here, but I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, and 3 grands. How sweet. And the one I have the holes in, I'm going to put him underneath. So what I'm thinking is, then take a, let's see if I have one handy here. Probably not. Like a bone folder, or you can just do it with your fingers. You kind of curl your paper, you know, so it's not super flat. Gosh, you could even use a pencil. You know, roll these edges. Or you could use a, gosh, see, I have all my stuff sitting all different places in all different little jars and containers. Roll this one this way. There's also a way to, where's my big, oh, I call them daughters, but they're probably a stylist. It's probably not a daughter. I don't see my big one. Maybe it's the end of the paintbrush too. But I have a real big one of these. And if you put this on a foam mat, and you can, you know, roll your tool and your paper, kind of break that paper down and get some shape into it. Hi, Michelle. Good morning. So if you got to get your leaf going the right way, Laura. Not sure this is going to look the way I want it to look. That might not be too bad. I'm going to glue this down. Just going to use some hot glue. Boop, 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 boop. I should have just rounded the bottom of these, now that I think about it. Just going to put that there. And then I'm going to take my cheesecloth and just add that. Trying to be careful not to, quite frankly, ruin my fingernails. They got to last me another couple days. Okay, so that's it so far. Now, my hubby also grabbed me some. This stuff might be a little too bright, but I'm just going to see what this might look like. If you have anything laying around, and you can get stuff at the dollar store too, but I don't know, a little particular. Sometimes at the dollar store, the stuff looks a little too fake. But I've got this little sprig of, who knows what it's called. Gosh, this is old. AC Moore, $1.99. So this is a little old. Now I had here they are. Like I said, this might be a little too bright for me. Just see if I add. I don't know, Michelle. That's a good question. This one I've had for a while. Mine's called a Super Bonder. I like the ones with the smaller nose. This is not the smallest nose I've ever had. The thing I don't like about this one is that they've put the on and off switch right where you grab it. And I'm always turning it off. And then I go to use it and it's cold. So, and you can see I don't really clean it. But I've had that for a while. I don't know if anybody else might have a suggestion. I'm trying to see if I want to put a couple sprigs of this in. Not sure I'm liking that so much. The other thing I have in the other room, which I didn't bring in, we had some corn, and I took the corn husks and dried them out and pulled them in strips. So I might go get some of those. I forgot about those, and add some of those in. But for right now, I need to think about a stem. And I'm trying to think what I have right here. What kind of a stem? Oh, you're kidding. Oh, that's disappointing. Were they all different brands or they were the same brand? Gosh, I don't know. Maybe some of the other gals in chat would know. Or maybe do a little search and ask for suggestion. You probably could find some information as far as customer reviews for different brands. Yeah, I've never had one of the, I've never had one that where the trigger busted on me. Huh. Okay. Let me see. What do I have here? I don't want anything too All right, I'm going to go grab my bag of that cording that paper cording I was telling you about. I'll be right back. Let me grab my bag of stuff here. Okay, I mentioned the video that I had watched. The gal used pieces of felt, and she rolled it up kind of like a cigar. I just grabbed my bits, my scraps. She rolled it up like a cigar and then covered it. So I'm wondering if I can use that same basic idea. This is that like paper cord that I used to make some leaves out of. Now, just because I have this here, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to use some of this like I would use a piece of felt. My box of felt is up over my head. I can't reach it. So I'm just snipping a piece of my bits left from my pumpkin here. And I'm just going to roll this. Right? Maybe I want to roll it more on an angle. Oh, how cute. Twins. How wonderful. I'd love to have twin grandbabies. Hi, Brenda. Good morning. Oh, I think if I could get this going, maybe a square piece might work better, but I'm just grabbing a scrap. So I'm just going to roll that. See, I like how that looks, right? But that's kind of thin. Wonder if I rolled a piece of, put a little bit of fluff in there. And rolled it. I'm rolling it like from corner to corner, if you will. All right, let's see. I had this problem the other day where StreamYard kept kicking out. So I hope I'm back. I hope you can hear me and see me. So that's a little better. They gave me a little bit more fluff, a little more thickness to my stem. So I'm going to put a little hot glue there. Now I would like that a little grungier. I'm going to trim off that bottom. Great, thanks, Michelle. Thanks, ladies. Okay. Now I have this dish. I had this on the other day on my other stream. This is coffee that I was using to dye paper with. And I just left it sit in the dish and it dries up. So I'm just going to add a little water to kind of reconstitute it. And I'm going to take a brush. And I'm going to use it to stain, put a darker stain hopefully on my stem. I don't have much in the way of brown fabrics. Now I probably have brown felt. I should have asked my hubby to get that down for me. But when I started, he was still snoozing. Now, of course, you'd want to let that dry. If you do this kind of crazy thing, you want to let that dry. I'm going to have another sip of my coffee. And in years past, when I would do things like this, I would then cut the ends. I'll show you in a minute. And I wonder if I can just dry this a little bit. I don't want my... I don't want to melt my fiber fill. So that's one idea if you really want to create a stem you don't have any wood. Now I'm going to take a little strip of this stuff. I don't really know what this is called. Like I said, I got it in the Goodwill store. But see, if you unwind this, it's like a crepe paper. And of course, you could probably put several lengths of this together, or I just think a pumpkin stem needs to be a little thicker than this, but you might just want to use this as well. Okay, I had to do this a couple of times the other day. Let's see. If we have too much trouble, I'll have to just scoot, I guess. But let's just see. So what I'm trying to do is just unwind this to show you. It's a little fiddly. But there again, if you had scrap fabric or, you know, paper or the fiber fill or some felt, you could unwind something like this. And then either rewind it like I did the fabric, or you could just wind it on, you know, whatever else you're using. But I really kind of like how this turned out. This is still very damp. But I'm going to come and I'm going to cut a couple little slits here. Kind of use whatever I have sitting around my work table. I'm just going to pop that. Now you can use your fabric glue, of course, something like this, but I'm just going to use my, see, and then you can flatten that out and glue that down. Now in hindsight, I would glue this in first and then put my oh, Keisha, I always think of dirty gauze first anymore instead of, you know, cheesecloth on top, but I'll just put a little bit more on there. So let me just, so we can get this one done. because I want to show you my idea for the next one. So I'm going to pop that down. Just give it a good push down. And then I probably, once this dries well, I'll probably add a little glue and give that a little bit of a shape. But I'm going to put a little more cheesecloth around here. Now you could add beads, you could add buttons. Don't forget we put the button on the bottom. So I'll fussy up with this later, but that's basically, you know, your little pumpkin, which really is not too hard to create, right? And it's adorable. I think it's adorable. So my idea for the next one is, I've got another piece of muslin that I cut out earlier. And while that looks cute, I thought, well, how cool would it be if I stamped on the fabric? So I like script. So I've got my Stampin' Up! French script stamp here, which I've taken off the block. Now, I was thinking to myself earlier when I was thinking about doing this, do I want to have it solid or just have it all over? And I think I just want to have it all over, hit or miss, not solid. I'm thinking. Oh yeah, look guys, I have this here. How cute would this be? Of course, maybe it needs to be a little bigger, but you can add a ribbon or some twine, a twine ribbon. That looks cute too, right? Okay, enough. All right, so let me push some of this stuff away. And then I thought, if you think about it, if you had, like, I have a cool leaf stamp somewhere, maybe I could stamp leaves. That's another idea. And try to judge, you know, where my gathering stitch would be, move it down a little bit. Of course, they would be, I'm not sure how that would look, but, you know, you could do a lot of different things. So the first thing is I want to use a Stampin' Up! A Stays On ink. And I generally like to stamp on a mouse pad if I can. Put my fingers on my mouse pad. Haven't seen it in a couple of days. So that might not be possible. Oh, there it is. She remembered. I got my Elvis ink, my Elvis mouse pad. Just gives you a little bit of a cushion. A little cushion. So I'm just going to ink this up and go for it. And I'm figuring if it doesn't look okay, then I can just turn it inside out. So I'm hoping that I have enough ink in this timber brown. And it doesn't have to be a real dark print for me either. So let me see. Just want to make sure I have the edge of my fabric where I want it. And I'm just going to start stamping random. I probably shouldn't have done it that way. I should probably do it this way, thinking about how the pumpkin will be in sections. So let me have a redo. Things I have two sides. And I'm not inking all the way out to the edge, trying to create, well, let me do this. I take a piece of paper and I tear the edge and I put that where I want my stamp to hit. I should do two. Then I'm not going to get a harsh edge. So I'm going to stamp in between where I'm laying my rough torn paper. And I'm going to just go like that. This is a Stays On Timber Brown. See, now I don't have a real harsh edge there. And I'm not going to worry about it being, you know, here, there, and everywhere. I'm just winging it to see how it turns out. I mean, how big can it look, right? Now you can use this torn paper thing on any kind of a project, because sometimes if you're working on a mixed media piece or art journal page and you want to have some of your stamp, but you don't want it to be, you want it to fade, you don't want it to be a harsh ending and starting line. If you use, let me see if you can see that, if you use a torn piece of paper, that gives you that kind of a edge. It doesn't give you a harsh line. I'm not too crazy about the harsh line. Now, of course, I've gotten myself kind of in a section kind of a look here. So we'll see how it goes. May not work out in the end. And if you want to get a better press, you can, if you've taken your stamp off the block, you can always put your acrylic block down and press. See how I got part of that stamp here, so it gave me a softer edge. It didn't give me that harsh edge. So I'm going to do one more here, and I'm kind of just making it like a cone triangular shape. I'll just ink this again a little bit, make sure I have it the right side up. And if you take your stamps off the block like this, and if it's a pattern that it matters, whether it's right side up or not, make sure you mark the top of your stamp. So when you flip it over, you know you have the top where you want the top. All right. All right, Elvis, back in the drawer. Well, my drawer's not opening, so let's do that. Elvis has left the building. All right, so now I have that. Now I'm going to rethread my needle. And I have some of this thread that I used earlier left over. And I'm going to show you how I did this, because I showed you the first one already stitched. And I'm going to double this. And I think this will be long enough, because you're going to pull it, so it's going to be, you're not going to use the whole thing as is. You're going to pull it and cinch it. Now I want that on the, okay, so I have all my print on the outside. I don't know that that matters, because you could always turn it inside out. So now I'm just gonna come in about 1/4 of an inch or so, 1/2 inch or so, and I'm just doing an in and out stitch. And it doesn't have to be exact. I mean, if you're really a person who likes things to be more exact and more controlled, you could go around and sketch a little line, or if you have circle templates, take the next smaller template and go in and make yourself a line so you have a guide. But that's too much fussing for me. And this is another one. If you say you wanted to make some for your kids' teachers or family members and you wanted to do several, you could sit and cut them out, and then, you know, if you're sitting at night with your feet up or in front of the TV listening to a book online, you know, you could just sit and do several of these, and then when you get back to your art table, do your stuffing and do the rest. So at the one co-op where I am a member, they've started a new idea of having the opportunity for our customers to sign up for classes, for an art class or some kind of a craft class. I'm trying to think of something I might be able to do, and I think I was thinking maybe a little too far outside the box with some of my other crafty ideas, but perhaps maybe I should just do one on making pumpkins. This isn't too hard. Okay, thanks, Jeannie. Thanks for popping in. Enjoy your day. I'm just going to finish up this one, and then I'm going to scoot myself. I need to get a little breakfast, I think. I smell French toast. So you just continue around. And like I said, if you do have a sewing machine and this is not your thing, you could certainly do a gathered stitch on your sewing machine. You just want to be careful when you pull it that you don't break your thread, because then you won't be able to gather it as well. Now this one I want to put a lot more fiber fill in because I want to see some of that stamped script that I put on the fabric. And certainly you don't need a big huge needle like this. So I'm coming around now to the that's probably good, Frida. You keep yourself busy with other things. At night, though, I like to put my feet up. I usually don't pay so much attention, well, unless there's a baseball, my baseball team's on. I mostly have it for noise. Woo-hoo! Sometimes I'll watch other YouTubers and their videos. Okay, so now I'm going to leave my needle connected because I want to be able to pull and cinch my pumpkin. You may not be able to see this so well, but at least there'll be the hint of, all right, now to stuff, to stuff. And I can always take stuffing out, so I tend to be stingy with stuff like this. Stuff, no pun intended, with things like this, and using product and material and fabrics and paints and glues, glue sticks. Hey, Ray. So I'm really going to try to really pack this one. Now, if I start to pull it and cinch it a little bit, it might be better as far as getting an idea of how much fiber fill I want in there. put a little more here. Because that other one was so squatty. After I pulled it and sewed it tight, I was thinking I should have put more fill in there. It's a little better, maybe a little bit more. This really is stuffed. It's going to look like the Pillsbury Dough pumpkin. Oh, no, I've got a little bug trying to get into my coffee. Get out of there, buddy. Get. I should put something on top of my coffee cup so they don't get in there. All right, let's see if I can mush that around. El musho. See, I want to be able to see some of that script that I stamped on. Where this guy, I didn't put hardly any fluff in there. You know, see how short and squatty. Now, this is the same circle, same size circle of fabric. So you can see if you add more of your fiber fill, you definitely get a different size pumpkin. Who knew? I mean, I love fabric. I love looking at things like this that others make. Of course, I really want to cinch this too because I need to cover this. You don't want that showing. And then you can fuss around with you just have to be careful not to pop your stitch or break your thread. Now I can always put another piece of fabric there, I'm thinking, so I don't want to pull it too terribly tight. Okay, so now I'm going to just put a stitch in here to hold this where I have it. And you don't have to be too worried about seeing that stitch because your decorations are more than likely are going to cover that. Okay. Now, if you weren't here, we put a button on the bottom of this one. And I guess I could put a layer of the cheesecloth on there. I don't know if I want to, I think I might want to put a button, but I don't know if I want to use the twine, the twine like I did on the other one. Let's see if I can spot another button that would work. spotted that other button really quickly. I really like that wooden one I had on the first pumpkin. Look at this crazy thing I have in with my pumpkins. I have no idea what that is. That might look cool on something, huh? Girls, I have so many buttons here. But the same old, same old. You never can find a button that you'll want. Oh, wonderful, Brenda. I'm glad that you saw that I was on and that it's something you wanted to know. That's cool. Let's see, this one's a really big button, but I don't know that it's real. I think I just want something really kind of woody and rustic looking. And I don't want to take out the whole drawer, but I just may have to. So I'm not seeing down there as well as I'd like. It's like a big cavern of buttons. Now that will be too bumpy. And I want to do it while I have it open, the top open, so I can stitch down. I may have to settle. May just have to settle. Boy, that first button was really perfect. To me, anyway. I have some other ones that are wooden, but they're on the shank, you know, and it's not going to lay flat. All right, well, enough of that. See, I should have thought ahead and had something pulled out. Of course, I could always put, they could be a number of things. A mushroom. Oh, yeah. You can make them oval, square, scalloped. Oh, yes. Very good, Ray. Very good. She's exactly right. Maybe I'll go with this more country gold color. All right, now let me see if my big honking needle will fit through that buttonhole. It's a stretch, but yes. It will do it. All right, Michelle, have a good day. Be careful out and about. Watch out for crazy drivers. All right, let me put my thread through. It looks like some other folks have joined us, so good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be. It's morning still for me. All right, so I'm going to knot the end of a piece of twine. And I'm going to go down through the center of my pumpkin. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and judge here. I want to add this button. I could glue this on, but I want to pull it so it gives a little shape to my button. And then I'm going to go back down through that other hole, come back up through the center. got a bit of a snag there. Some of this twine, if you've used twine like this, it's thin in some spots and a little thicker in others. It's just a little thicker. Now finding my other buttonhole. Give it a little tug. Look at there. Grab that and I didn't even realize. So I'm just kind of pulling that a little snugly because I just want it to maybe just give a little definition in the bottom. Now see the other one, we did the sections of the pumpkin and pulled the cord, the twine in and out. Now another tip that I've learned as my hands become more arthritic is if you're doing something like this and you can't pull the thread, if you've got a pair of pliers of some kind, you can always grab your needle and give it a yank. Just make sure you don't pull it and stab it into your head. If you need to tie something off. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab a piece of my fabric here on the side and tie that button off. I'm just gonna loop it. I'm gonna loop it, girls. Just gonna loop it. Now, of course, I didn't cinch this as tightly as I did the other because I wanted it to be a little fuller, if you will, and not squashed down as much. So now you see I have this gaping hole here in the center. All right, so now my button's on the bottom. And I'm going to just trim this. Now I want to think about leaves again. I wasn't too crazy about my other leaves. And I don't feel like digging through all my scrapbook paper. I mean, really, I guess you don't have to have a leaf, right? You know what might work, ladies? This might work. Let's go. Let's just do it. Let's go cray cray. Cray cray. What if I took a piece of my fabric, my leftover fabric, you know, my little bits from cutting my circle, and what if I first off painted with some leftover coffee, kind of just darken it up a little bit, make it El Grunjo. Spritz that with a little more water. So I explained earlier, if you weren't here in the stream, I just was dyeing some paper and left some coffee remaining in my dish and purposely dried it out. I did stamp with it the other day. It does work. Of course, you don't want it to be too liquidy if you're going to stamp with it. But this is also a way where you can maybe control some of the grunge, right? Now, what I didn't like about this pumpkin, and when I did the leaves, I did some paper and then I put a fabric leaf on there. It's real flimsy. So why don't we put some matte medium on it? So let's put some matte medium on the fabric. Spread that around. All right. And then I'm going to use my heat gun. And this should give the fabric enough stability for me to then cut out leaves and not have them be all loosey-goosey and floppy. All right, I'm going to use my heat gun. Now you may have some printed fabric that you like. I certainly could use that. I think you probably could get some leaves from your yard, and if you sealed them, I think with the clear gesso, I think that would work. I'm going to move this over. Let me grab a baby wipe, and I'm going to wipe up because I think I'm just re-dampening my fabric. It's still quite sticky. Now, of course, pumpkins, when you first pick them, their leaves are not brown. Their stem is not brown. But when you're creating something like this, you can do it any color you want. At the beginning of the beginning of the stream, I showed the purple pumpkin. So you can do whatever you want. I just wanted this to look more grungy. And I can also stamp on this fabric. There's an idea. What if you could emboss? Has anybody tried to emboss on fabric? Oh, girls, there's an idea. There's an idea. All right. Thinking outside of the box. All right, so that's stiffened up pretty nicely. I'm happy with that. All right, so do we do it? Do we do it? Let's get Elvis here. I want something juicier, I think, than that stamp pad I was using. And I wonder if I have a bronze. I think I have a bronze. Let's see here. I have Glam Gold, which I don't think I want in this case. And I have copper. I don't think I want black. Let me try the copper. How bad can it be, right? How bad can it be? All right, so I coffee stained my fabric. Then I painted on more coffee to give it more of a grungy, darker color. Then I painted it with a golden matte medium. Now I'm going to take my Stampin' Up! French script stamp again, which is what we used on the fabric of the pumpkin. And I think this is juicy. This is a VersaFine. Oxide black. Let's give it a go. So I'm just going to ink this wherever. Liking it. Oh, I forgot. I want to put the, oh girls. I forgot I wanted to emboss. Oh, goodness me. See how quickly my brain goes in a different direction? Let's see if that's stuck. Oh, it did. Let me tap it. Tapping to try to get off any excess. Because what I didn't think about is there could still be some wet particles from the, from putting the matte medium on. Hey, that looks kind of cool. Of course, I haven't puffed it up yet either, right? This is where I get myself in trouble. I need a little extra space here. Maybe I better emboss that before I... Let me hold this up. Trying to not get too many crumblies. Make sure your heat gun is warmed up. And you start to emboss. I don't know if this is going to work. I haven't embossed fabric before. I don't know if you can see it puffing. I'm going to try to get a couple of leaves out of this. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to do another stamp over here. And I want to protect what I have here. I don't want to stamp over top of that. So let me put down a piece of paper. Now, get my embossing powder as quickly as I can. Sorry, Elvis. Okay. Now I'm gonna tap off what got on Elvis here. Should have put extra paper down. Set him aside and put my extra powder aside. Gotta heat up my gun and heat that area. don't think this side's embossing like the other. I guess it didn't stick. I guess I wasn't quick enough. Maybe it's a little bit, but it's really not very good. Not compared to the first side. Maybe I'm not hitting it enough with the... Oh, there it goes. There it goes. I didn't hit it long enough with the heat. It's puffing. It's puffing. There we go. Now, if this is durable, I have no idea because, like I said, I haven't done this before. So now what I'm going to do is get my leaf, if I can find my little leaf I was using as a pattern. Let's just grab another leaf. Being as I have a whole bag of them, instead of wasting time looking, let me see if I can find a... Here's one. It's a good size. And I'm just going to rough cut. And I'm not going to go back up into where the stem was like I did before. Now I'm going to try to get as many leaves out of this fabric as I can. And I want my lettering to go, my stamp lettering to go in a good direction. So, where's my... Let me see if my Timmy scissors will work okay on this. Here. Okay, is everybody still hanging with me? I'm just going to rough cut this. Now, of course, before your matte medium dries, you could really shape this around something if you wanted a little more shape in your leaves. I'm not sure that's going to happen at this point. Okay, Ray, thank you. Everybody's so quiet. As a streamer, you always wonder if, am I putting them to sleep? Okay, so there's a leaf. Now, see, because it's fabric and not paper, I really could pinch that a little bit and get a little more shape into it. Let's cut out another. Hopefully I can get 3. Fabric avalanche, which is too bad. Fabric and stamp. I wonder if I have another. Oh, I should put that. You know what? That's an accident waiting to happen. I've got my embossing powder sitting there. I wonder if there's a smaller leaf. I think that's all the same size. Of course, you could do different shaped leaves too. And of course, you could maybe not be as anal as I am about your leaf. I like those darker ones. They may even work on this pumpkin. We'll see. Thanks, Ray. I guess I could use some of the artificial with my fabric leaf, right? And then I can do kind of a plain one down here as well. And maybe just use a portion of the leaf. That one's a little wonky that way, so let's just give it a little trim. So I've got a plain leaf underneath, an artificial leaf, and then this, kind of making like a cluster. So I'm thinking if I put that like that, and then I can put a little snippet of cheesecloth, or as I dig through my stash, I might find something else that would work. Actually, I was thinking about some farm fabric might be cool, or some like that rusty red plaid kind of. So then if I put this over top like that, that would be cute. Then I need to build a stem again. And I did like what I did before, the stem. I like that stem. See, that's stiffened up very nicely. But there again, I could paint more of the golden on it. So I'm going to roll this. This is a corner piece from where I cut my original circle. So let me see, maybe if I wrap it around a skewer, it might be a little easier to roll it. Now the last one, I put some fiber fill in there. See, I like the way that looks. But you could do whatever. And of course you can use your fabric glue too. Now I want to trim this. So I'm not quite sure. I'm going to probably have to re-glue it, because this is probably a little too tall. And I'm thinking I might want to bend that a little bit. I think it's a little too tall. So I'm going to snip some of this off. I'm going to have to re-glue. Re-glue. See, I need a little bit there. Now, if you have buttons and beads or anything like that, you can add to these for sure. And maybe a little stuffing up in there wouldn't hurt either. I think I'm going to add, let me just take a minute and put my embossing powder back in this little container. I was thinking the black embossing powder might be a little too harsh, but it might have been good. Now I was thinking I wanted to paint some muslin and do a painted pumpkin, but I think I would have to have that all together first, not flat, because then trying to cinch it together and make it gather, the paint really stiffens up the fabric. So let me take my dried up coffee. Oh, you know what? Old tea bags would look cute. Like, you take your tea, you make your tea, and then you let them dry, take out the tea grains, the tea leaves. And I think that might be good for plants. You could use those on plants. And, but then I like to stamp on those tea bags or use them. You could really use them to decorate this kind of a looking pumpkin, right? Let me spritz this with a little bit of water and reconstitute this. And of course you can add whatever you like. I'm just going to grunge this up a little bit before I attach it. Just mostly so there's a contrast. Now, because this pumpkin I didn't cinch as tightly as the other, and I've got a lot of this fiber fill showing here, I am going to put down my cheesecloth first, and then my stem, and then some more. So let me just glue down. So I've got a plain fabric leaf, and I'm going to put them mostly where my inked part of my pumpkin is not. And because that has the matte medium on it, see, I can push that down. It gives me a little bit of shape. The fabric it's not all floppy. And then I'm going to go ahead, that one's kind of wrinkled. I'm going to go ahead and add one of these guys. Just set that off a little bit. And then our embossed leaf, I'm going to add him or her. Give that a press. Kind of get some shape out of that. And then I'm just going to go around this area here. Add glue. Get my first layer of cheesecloth down. Kind of fold it on itself and tuck it. Now I'm wondering if maybe some of that other plant material would look okay here. Maybe I'm going to take the leaves off, I think. So I don't want anything that green in here, I don't think. Well, the stems are green, but I don't want any leafy greens, I don't think. Let me get another piece of this. This is, all right, I'm only going to keep you a little bit longer. I just want to show you a couple other things here. Well, see, when I put things away, I can't find them. When I don't put things away, I can't find them. It's a battle. It's a battle. So I'm going to use a couple of these guys here. Maybe on that plain leaf, stick them down. Now this is plastic, so if you're using the hot glue, you might melt that a little bit, so you just want to be aware. And then, let's see. This is really still wet. But I'm going to snip this. I'm going to just snipping in a little bit so that I can flatten that out to make a surface. See, because if you put glue right there, you're not going to have much surface to stick, right? But if you snip it, you can flatten it out like a little fan. You've got a larger surface area to put glue on. So I'm just going to pop some hot glue on that. Pop that in. Now, being as I put the coffee on there and painted some extra coffee, that's going to get a little, that fabric will stiffen up as well. And then I can come back in with some glue and give this maybe a little more shape. And then, just looking at these buttons. I've got that button. Let's see. They're kind of an orangey red. They would look cool, I think. Let's see what else we have in here. Without doing a lot of dancing around. There's another color that might work. I've got a brown. Oh, that would look lovely. Let's just see. Let's just see. All right, so let me cut this. I don't like to use buttons unless I put thread or some kind of twine or something in my buttons. I think I need a third one. Maybe we'll use this guy. So I'm going to grab a piece of my twine. And sometimes if the twine's a little thicker, I'll untwist it so you can have little threads. I'm not going to fuss with that right now. So I'm just going to put, maybe I want this to stick out. So I'm going to just put some twine through my button. Maybe I'm just going to use the one because that looks kind of good. So I'm just going to tie this. I usually tie it twice. So if you watch the video, watch the stream on the playback, and hopefully if you've been here with me this morning, you'll realize there's tons of stuff you can do with this. I'm going to grab some more of my cheesecloth. So I want to, now let me see, I think my glue gun's getting a little slow because I want to cover up these stems and then I want to cover where I've glued down, right? So maybe something like that. Leave a little bit of this hanging down. I've got my stamped fabric there that we did, right? So let me get my glue. See if I can keep, I know I did bring out my glue sticks, but I'm just kind of tucking that all around. And then I'm going to take glue and put on the bottom of my button. Add my button. And then I'm going to show you one last thing. Now, like I said, once this dries, I'll come back in. I might put some fiber fill down there. And I'm going to bend my stem a little bit so it's just not sticking straight up in the air. But I like to make these double loop, well, they're actually more than a double loop bow. And you can look this up online. This is where I learned it online, looking at a video. Had to watch it several times. So you take a piece of ribbon, twine, string, whatever you want to use. And you use your your index finger and the next finger. You hold your thread, and you're just going to wrap it in and out over your fingers. Now, to do double, you just do it twice. But you're going to end up with it on the outside finger, and then give yourself some length. Just cut that off, and then you're going to take that loose end, drop it down behind all those threads, bring it back up, put it through the back of that loop, and give it a tug. Take your fingers out, and you've got a really cool bow, right? And I'm not liking that. It kind of gets lost on this. So let me see if I can just quickly grab, see what I have here that I can grab easily. Hopefully I can grab something that's a little more of a contrast. Some kind of a ribbon that I can use and show you. think I want black. I think black's a little too much of a contrast. Don't want lavender. Well, I might not use this, but I'll show you. This is a piece of seam binding that I got from Maria's Mussolini. Let me see if I can do it with this. Be the same deal. Now I don't have to wrap it as many times, and the further apart your fingers go, the bigger your bow will be. See? Then I'm just going to drop it down behind all those little threads. Bring it around to the back of that loop I made. And then just pull it really tight, and then you have to just kind of wiggle it off your fingers. Now this seam binding still has the tape on the back, so I would have to, I'm too fussy for that, I would have to pull that. But you can then nestle. I'm not going to cut it because I'm going to work with this. So then you can nestle that in there and add your bow. Yeah, I think that sets it off, right, Brenda? I might iron this and try to get the rest of that tape, that seam binding tape off. But see, that makes a really cute full bow for you. All right, guys, I need to grab something to eat. Thanks for joining me this morning. I'm trying to get into a groove of doing something on Saturday mornings. And so we've got this little guy, which we stamped. And I might position this differently because I don't want to hide up my embossed leaf. And, you know, use some scraps and stuff that you have hanging around the house or your craft room. See, I have this too, you know, some of this might look cool in here, right? And then we did this little guy earlier. He's not got as much fluff. And of course, we put our buttons on the bottom. And you can add a little ribbon on him. And that would be cute. And then I've got this purple one that I had done with my sisters. All right. But if you have any old jewelry or anything, see, look, there's a little piece of old jewelry. How cute would that look? And then I have this one that I started, haven't done the stem. I've got some green sweater, and I'm going to put a button on the bottom here. So you can make yourself a nice little collection, give them as gifts, or just make one for fun. Use up some of your scraps, really. And you could use a smaller circle, of course, to make little tiny ones. How cute would the little tiny ones be? All right. And the bigger you go, if you got the fluff, if you got the fiberfill, that would work. You know, you probably could even stuff it with old, there's old plastic store bags, you know, they would be crunchy, but I think you could work with that. You just have to watch if you're using your hot glue not to melt the bags. You could also, you know, use your fabric glue if you go that route. But anyway, just a lot of different ideas and just something fun as we head into fall. Well, ladies, thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Frida, I'm going to send you your package. Hopefully I'll get some ink for you and get that on its way if you're still here with us. And I know it's kind of early for my mods today, so I'm going to get on with the rest of my day as well. So take care, and don't forget, take time to be creative and enjoy the journey. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.